If you like YouTube, welcome back to another episode. So, World's End. Things are not looking too good just now. We definitely have dinoflagellates. They're running rampant in the tank, as you can see, covering every surface possible. So, they're definitely loving life. So, the fact we've got dinos, what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that my tank is new and there is also an imbalance in the system. And just now that imbalance is favouring the dinoflagellates. So in order to get rid of the dinoflagellates, we've got to shift the scale in favour of other organisms to outcompete these dinos and then get rid of them. There are a couple of ways to get rid of them, depending on which species I have. I don't know which species I have. I'm not going to buy a microscope to find out. I'm just going to do a couple of things and see if one of them works. If it does, excellent. If it doesn't, I'll try something else. I definitely will not be using any chemicals. I'm not using Dino X, so that's out of the question. I'm going to be using a UV, so I'll have to get one of them. And here you can see how bad it is. This SPS, my Valida, is just absolutely covered in it. Right, so UV that I've selected is a Deltic. I've picked up this 80 watt UV sterilizer. Now, I had this for quite a while and I just never got round to getting it on the system. But as soon as I got it onto the system, would you Adam and believe it, the ballast was broken, didn't work, it was faulty. So I had to get that sent back. So as you can see, this shows you how long ago that I had the UV, because the rocks are still looking white and pretty nice. So needless to say, it's been a bit of a pain waiting for this ballast and find out what was happening with it. But it's taken a couple of weeks. I've got it now. So all I have to do is get the UV set up. Right, so I've got the UV, the ballast is working. So I can finally get this UV onto the tank. I'm going to use these unions. Get these unions onto the UV. And then I'll get this hard plumbed. Okay, so finally got the new ballast. And the bulb should be working now. So I'm just going to get this slotted into place and we'll test to see if the bulb is actually working and the ballast is working. So I would have had this on the system a lot sooner, but because the ballast didn't work, this has kind of held me up a little. So I'll just put this down, we'll switch it on and have a quick visual check. Right, perfect. We have light. So we'll get this all screwed up and hopefully this is going to start kicking the dino's butt. Definitely ain't going to hurt, it's definitely going to help, and it'll also help if there is any parasites in the water column, and it should help clear up the water. The UV is all plumbed and working, however, with the water coming in here and the UV mounting vertically, the quartz sleeve comes down here and then nestles into a little rubber gasket at the bottom of this, but the tube was rattling with the water flow coming in here. So I changed it and I had the water flow coming in here and going down, which solved the problem. The quartz sleeve wasn't rattling as much, but obviously because the water's going down, you're not getting it completely filled with water, so there's always that void, so you could hear the water running down. So what I need to do is I need to, option A is I take this unit I turn it upside down and then I fit it there. Now that's fine. And then in order to help reduce the noise as well, because there's a heck of a lot of noise coming from this hard plumbing, is if I maybe just cut it, and then I used soft tubing. I'm thinking that might help cut down on the noise, because for me the noise is the biggest issue, and if something's noisy I'm just not going to use it. Okay, so that's the UV now plumbed in. Decided to go with the soft plumbing just because of the sound. It was really noisy. I have the outlet from the UV going into the overflow. And the input is from the middle section, skimmer section. Now, I did hard plumb it, but what I noticed was when it was hard plumbed, there was a lot of noise, a lot of vibration. Whereas now, having it with the soft plumbing, it's totally silent. Now once the refugium's built, what I'll do is the soft plumbing, I'll keep that as it is, but this, I'll change this to hard plumbing, because the soft plumbing's not going to be able to work, I don't think, to get, well, I'll end up with heaps of joints. So I'll use hard plumbing, which will then just go straight into the refugium tank once that's built. Now, I'm glad that the UV sterilizer is now online, just because the state of the tank is pretty bad with dinoflagellates. I'm deliberately not cleaning the glass. The reason for this is I want other algae to form in the tank to outcompete the dinoflagellates. So the other thing is I'm dosing phytoplankton. So I have 3 litres of phytoplankton culturing at the moment. I have 1.5 litres in the fridge, and I just dose that one throughout the week. This is going to help with those other organisms that I'm needing to outcompete the dinos. Okay, so today, Sunday, I set the UV sterilizer up and running on Saturday. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but definitely seems to be areas that are not as bad as they once were. Still bad, like, don't get me wrong, this is looking terrible. Especially this section here. So we'll see how it goes. Other thing I've done is I've turned down the flow in the tank. I had this full blast. And really, that's just benefiting the dinos. Dinos love oxygen rich water, and they love high flow because it helps get them around the tank and get them to colonize other areas of your tank. So I've reduced the flow. Currently on Reef crest at 50% on all pumps, except the back one, it's on 30%. The other thing I've done is I've switched off my protein skimmer. So obviously I'm wanting to get my nutrient levels up. Nutrient levels are very low. This is partly due to me having a big tank, but there's not that many fish in it. The corals, I've moved them down here, the SPS, because up in the main display they were just getting covered in dinos and really suffering. So they've been moved down here. Dendrophilia, He's doing okay. So I've added really fine sponge, and then every now and again I'll put the filter floss on. I've just chipped this minute changed that. I'll add the filter floss shortly, just to help trap any crap. So that's how that is. So we'll see how the UV goes. Like I said before, I'm not sure what dinos I'll get. I'm not going to go and buy a microscope again just so I can find out what it is. I'm not just going to do that. I'm just going to hit this with a double-edged sword. So I've got the UV running, so if it's the type that goes waterborne, well, the UV will help nuke them. If it's the other type, then I'm going to raise my nutrients to encourage other organisms that are going to outcompete, because basically the reason that this is happening is because it's a new tank and there's just not the biodiversity in the system. So there's an imbalance just now, and the imbalance is in favour of the dinos. So it's just a case of getting that scale shifted so that other organisms can start thriving and then put the dinos in check. But we'll get there. I mean, it's just a process. We'll definitely get there. This is the ugliest stage that you can go through. And I would say dinos is worse than hair algae myself. Hair algae is pretty easy to get rid of. Dinos, a little bit more tricky, but it will not defeat me. We will beat this. So, in the meantime, I've purchased another 4 hermit crabs, 3 red-legged hermits, Jesus, and just 1 common hermit, and another 2 cleaner shrimp. Although I suspect the resident cleaner shrimp, he might not be happy with the other 2 cleaners coming in. For some reason he didn't like the other one, so we'll see how that goes. Clownfish eggs. So Malibu and half pint. They're loving life, very happy. Getting their jig on. Right, yeah. Tank's not looking good now. And it absolutely stinks, I'm not kidding. It is stinking. Which the wife points out to me every day. You gotta get that sorted out, it stinks. It's like, aye, I wish I could. There's no magic pill, you can just make it happen. It takes time. But you try telling the missus that. So, well, that's it. The UV's on. I'll add this new cleanup crew, and we'll see how it goes in the next week or so. Right, that's the cleaner shrimps and the hermit crabs added. So hopefully they love life in their new home. So one thing I forgot to mention was the filter roller. My filter fleece roll, the new one, it only lasted 3 days. So I'm not adding that again, so you would have noticed I was using the blue sponge and the filter floss. It's just not worth changing the roll every 3 days. The other thing was that it's such a pain in the backside to swap the rolls over, because I have to disconnect the bulkhead to remove the pipework, to remove that filter fleece. So I need to kind of come up with a better way of doing it, because that is so annoying, and to be honest, it's so awkward. I probably wouldn't even use it if it's difficult to do, but you can see how bad the algae is here. So yep, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Till the next one, bye bye.